Alright, so I'm going to show you guys how to do a chain adjustment on a bike. This particular bike is a CB300F, but you know, on all bikes they're pretty much all the same. So what you want to do is you want to actually you want to find a spot, the tightest spot on the chain. So it'd be nice if you have a bike stand to basically get the wheel off, so you could spin the rear wheel. And basically it's just, I usually just do this. I actually find the tightest spot on the chain, and you can actually feel for it. You know, actually feel wherever the tightest spot is. This bike's actually still new. It only has a little bit over 800 miles. So it doesn't necessarily need an adjustment yet. But anyway, so once you find the spot, this one seems to be okay. It seems everything. I don't actually feel much of a tight spot. What you want to do is, the reason why you want to find a tight spot is because the sprockets, the front and rear sprockets, they're not really, you know, even though they're machined and everything, when they're made, they're not perfectly concentric. You know, not perfectly centered with where everything is. So it's always a little bit. It's just a little bit off center, just a tiny bit, and that's what usually creates a tight spot in your chain. Potentially, if you have a kink in the chain, you could also have a tight spot as well. But you know, this is a new bike, new chain and everything, so it doesn't have any kinks. But and I really couldn't tell if I found a tight spot or not. But anyways, let's say if you did find a tight spot, that's where you want to leave. You want to adjust it from the tightest spot. Because if you adjust it from the loose spot, what happens is the loose spot, you're like, okay, you adjust from there. Once you tighten it up, and when it spins and it gets to that tight spot, it becomes really tight, and it puts a lot of strain on the chain, on the sprockets, the front and rear sprockets. The little shaft connects to the front sprocket, the counter sprocket. So you don't want to, basically you don't want to have it strained like that. Otherwise, you know, you could cause damage that way. As far as adjustment goes, now every bike's a little bit different. This particular one has these set screws, basically, or set nuts screw here. This is what actually makes the adjustment back and forth on the axle. So I like to loosen it up. This particular one is it's a 14mm and a 12mm. So actually, even before you start this, the other thing you should also do is you should check your wheel alignment. And how you check the wheel alignment is you actually measure, you know, get a measuring tape, measure from the center. You know, a good spot is measuring from the center of the swing arm bolt to the center of the axle here. So this one shows it is just under 23 inches. It's looks like, let me see, looks like 22 and, let me see, make sure this is centered up here in the front. Okay, so this looks like it's yeah, 23 inches exactly. So 23 inches exactly. On the other side, remember this is new, so this is, you know, I haven't touched this at all. So from the factory, let's see if this is how good it is from the factory. So from the factory, it's showing. Let's see, make sure the front's centered. The front is centered, and the rear. This one is showing. It's actually showing just a tad over 23, almost 23. It's like 23 and maybe 1/32. So it's pretty darn close. Lots of times, you know, you'll find that it's really off. So you have to make sure that's straight. So that's usually when you tighten things up. So anyway, to loosen this up, hold the back nut, the two pieces up on here, and that's how you loosen these two nuts from each other, because they're basically they lock against each other, so they don't move. So you don't, basically, you know, you don't lose that spot. So do that on both sides. And you don't need to take the nut all the way off. I just like to spin it so that it's all the way towards the back of the bolt. Alright. So that's going. So there's after is the axle. There's two nuts on there. One is the actual axle itself, and the other one is actually the nut. So how you do this is that you always, on the solid piece, the axle itself, you always just want to hold that, and the part that you actually turn is the nut, the nut itself. So this over here is 19 millimeters, and the nut itself is 24 millimeters. So I've got two wrenches. Loosen that. You don't need to loosen it much, just enough that you could basically make your adjustments from your set screws here. If it's too tight, once you find a fat spot, your nuts here are loose and your axles are loose, just basically push the wheel forward, and from there you can slowly tighten these up and bring the wheel back, and until you find that spot, or until your chains basically has that. Let me see, this specific one says 1 inch free play. So basically 1 inch from all the way to the bottom to all the way to the top. And that should be an inch of free play there. So that's basically how you do it, So I'm gonna do some more work on this. But that's basically how you adjust it. So when you're actually tightening down the you find where the inch of free play here is. But at the same time, you also have to check that this length here, so that both sides are basically the same. So that's how you know that the wheel is nice and straight. Otherwise, if the lengths here are shorter, one shorter and one longer, the wheel is actually not in line with the frame. It's it could be cockeyed one way or the other, and that'll throw your handling off, and it'll be kind of weird. And another way you could tell how straight your bike is basically just ride it with no hands. Try it at various speeds. You can try it at freeway speeds. You can try it at 15 miles an hour, whatever. Various speeds. Do no hand, and they should track true. If it doesn't, that means something's up. Either your wheel is off, or your fork's off, or whatever, or your frame's bent, or whatever. That's a great way of telling if things are true or not. Yeah, so I think that's it. So once I adjust this, I need to basically screw these in, get this back so that I get my 1 inch of free play here on the chain. So I get about 1 inch. Then basically I measured the axle length from the swing arm pivot point, to the middle of the axle here on both sides, so that's equal. Try to get it as close as you can. It might not be perfect, but if you get it, say, within like how this one was, within the 130 seconds, that's pretty darn close, and I think that would work. And that's about it. Thank you.